How's Osaka, Japan's current situation in July 2020? In this video, I'll talk about the situation in Osaka, my partner Ali getting COVID-19, don't worry, she's okay, and our experience with it. What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. My last video about the situation in Osaka was made back in February, and a lot has happened since then. If you want to watch that nearly hour-long live stream as I walk around the popular Dotonbori area, I'll link it below. In this video, I'll cover Ali's COVID-19 experience, what it's like to get tested for COVID-19 in Japan, the state of emergency, what life was like during that time, and what it's like now. I'll leave timestamps in the description to jump to those specific parts of the video as I'll be covering a lot. Let me start off by saying that I'm okay, but my partner Ali at some point actually had COVID-19. She's better now, and thankfully she didn't need to be hospitalized, but the effects are still present. We can't be sure exactly when she had it because she didn't exhibit all the symptoms. At no point did she have a fever, but she did suffer from lethargy, coughing, breathing difficulties, and chest heaviness. She got tested for the antibody test, which proved positive at her doctor's clinic. 2 days later, she was able to take a PCR test, which was expedited at the behest of her company's CEO. Without that, she would have had to wait 4 to 5 days to be tested. The system for testing here in Japan is severely flawed. Most foreigners have to wait for hours on hold on a COVID-19 hotline to request a PCR test. You need to have had a fever of 37.5 degrees Celsius or above for 4 days straight. Only if you qualify for that, you'll be given a secret location where testing is performed, and you're not allowed to tell anyone where it is because they don't want to be inundated with people. In general, there are loads of hoops to jump through. As I said, Ali's still feeling the effects of it. This isn't something that you can recover from within a week like the regular flu. This is a serious disease. She's feeling lethargic all the time, and everything takes a big toll on her energy levels. Because she has to sleep upright to help with her breathing, her sleep hasn't been restful, and she's also suffering from back issues as well now. The road to recovery is going to be long. I'm actually okay at this stage. I had breathing difficulties and chest heaviness also about 2 weeks ago, but I never had a cough or fever. I went to the doctor just to be safe. He checked me out. I got my temperature taken as soon as I arrived by a thermal camera set up in the reception. I then told the nurse at reception my symptoms, and I was taken to a separate room on another floor. My blood pressure was taken, and my pulse ox as well of 97%, that was taken, and I had a chest x-ray. And so he gave me a puffer as well as antibiotics, and I was basically feeling back to normal almost by the next day, having taken the asthma puffer as well as the antibiotics. We practice strict hand washing and mask wearing at all times, and you can see that even then it's possible to catch it, so please stay safe, guys. Now onto the situation in Osaka. Osaka and the rest of Japan never went into a full lockdown like other countries. On April 7th, a state of emergency was declared by Prime Minister Abe in Tokyo and 6 other prefectures, including Osaka. Many people, like myself, believe that it was delayed because they were holding on to hopes of a 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And lo and behold, as soon as that was off the table, they declared a state of emergency. Now, there were a few funny incentives issued by the Japanese government in response to COVID-19. The first was a proposal for free Wagyu beef coupons, since there weren't any foreign tourists anymore and demand had dropped. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Secondly was the 2 face masks posted to each household, regardless of household size. But the masks took ages to arrive during the mask shortage, and when the masks finally did arrive at homes, the retail mask shortage had ended, And finally is the 100,000 yen stimulus package, which initially looked like it was going to be offered to just Japanese people, not tax-paying foreign residents like myself. But that changed and we were allowed to apply for the stimulus as well. So thank you very much for that, Japan. However, I'm still waiting for the stimulus to arrive, and I applied for that over 6 weeks ago. Some have called this a soft lockdown. The reason for this is that a full lockdown would be in violation of Japan's constitution, which places an emphasis on personal rights. Instead, people were strongly encouraged to stay home and especially not visit nighttime entertainment venues like izakayas, nightclubs, and host or hostess bars, because of course the virus only comes out at night. In fairness to the residents of Osaka and Japan, I believe that the majority of people have been doing the right thing and have been staying home throughout. Now, for years, Japan has been a mask-wearing culture whenever people are sick, so that hasn't been much of a culture shock for them and much of an adjustment in their lifestyle. Supermarkets and other stores remained open, but cinemas, museums, libraries, and theme parks like Tokyo Disneyland and Universal Studios Japan were closed until just recently. Lines were placed on the floor of supermarkets to mark social distancing, and most stores installed plastic sheets between cashiers and customers. Restaurants at the time were also only offering takeout. During that time, I was allowed to telework. The days when I had to go to school, I was allowed to commute by bicycle. Then the state of emergency was lifted on May 25th, simply because the government wanted to. It's not like it was any safer to venture out. The coronavirus was and is still around. The government decided that the economy was suffering too much, so they ended the state of emergency. The school year in Japan usually starts in April, but schools were reopened on June 1st for the start of the 2020 academic year. For the first 2 weeks, classes were staggered, with only half of the students attending for morning classes and then the other half attending for afternoon classes. From June 1st, I had to commute again by train, which I'll admit is pretty scary. From June 15th, classes were back to normal capacity. In school, all teachers and students are wearing masks, and face shields have also been provided for staff. The classroom desks are spaced as far apart from each other as possible, but that still means that students may be less than a meter apart. So now we're in July, and these days everything has reopened, including cinemas, museums, libraries, and, as I mentioned earlier, theme parks. They're all encouraging social distancing, but in practice, that's not always the case. That's not always happening. In supermarkets or convenience stores, you may have people just right behind you, as well as when you're on the train. Of course, the trains are packed back to normal capacity. Cinemas are spacing out their seating, and the most laughable part is that theme parks don't want people to scream on rides, but rather scream in their hearts. As for the numbers, there are currently 4,627 active cases in Japan. Osaka Prefecture currently has 372 active cases. Tokyo has 2,178 cases. Tokyo was seeing an average of nearly 300 new coronavirus cases per day over the last week, which is even higher than when the state of emergency was declared. But that number has since been reduced to around 180 as of today, July 19th. Osaka has issued a yellow alert to highlight the increasing number of infections among young people visiting nighttime entertainment venues. And to mark this, Shinsekai's iconic Tsutenkaku Tower has been lit up yellow. But of course, it's hard to know the true numbers due to the lack of testing conducted in Japan. And at this point, no new state of emergency is going to be declared. There's also the issue of ostracization associated with testing positive to COVID-19. I've read of some people being fired because of it, and I could talk more about those issues, but that's not really the point of this video. As for us, Ali and I are doing as much as we can to stay home, even if Osaka is open for business. I only go to work and go to the grocery stores for shopping, and I cook most of our food at home, with the exception of a weekly Domino's delivery. Domino's, by the way, offers zero contact drop-offs where they leave your pizza by the door. We don't eat in restaurants, even though it's allowed again. We just won't risk it. So the weekends are spent home, either catching up on housework, editing and planning videos, and watching Netflix. Well, that wraps up my update of the current situation in Osaka. I'd love to know how you're faring in your country, so please leave a comment down below. My name is Lin Yunt. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.